The entire courtroom gasped as Sarah collapsed to the floor, clutching her swollen belly. The bailiff rushed forward, calling for water, while a wave of whispers spread like wildfire among the spectators. Everyone had come for the scandal, an explosive case where a wealthy businessman, Thomas, was being sued for paternity. On one side sat Elena, his longtime mistress, perfectly dressed, lips curled into a triumphant smile. On the other sat Sarah, his quiet, heavily pregnant wife, her face pale with exhaustion. Until that moment, Sarah had held her head high, her trembling hands hidden beneath the table. She hadn't spoken a word, even when Elena sneered and flaunted her supposed proof. The mistress's confidence filled the air. She believed the courtroom was hers, that Thomas would be forced to claim her unborn child. But when Sarah fainted, the room shifted. Even Elena's grin faltered as Thomas instinctively leapt from his chair, not toward the mistress, but toward his wife. He crouched beside Sarah, calling her name, his hands trembling as he brushed the hair from her damp forehead. For the first time, the spectators saw not a businessman tangled in scandal but a man terrified of losing someone he still loved. Minutes later, Sarah was helped to her feet and given a chair. The judge, a stern yet compassionate woman, allowed a pause before proceeding. The tension was unbearable. Then, she lifted a sealed envelope. "The DNA results," she announced, her voice slicing through the silence. Elena straightened in her seat, her chin high, waiting for victory. But the judge's eyes flickered toward Sarah, then back at the paper. "This court finds," she began slowly, "that the unborn child belongs not to Mr. Thomas but to another man. The mistress's claim has no legal standing." Gasps filled the room. Elena's painted smile crumbled instantly, her face drained of color. All her arrogance dissolved into stunned silence. But the real shock wasn't hers. Sarah turned to Thomas, her eyes glassy but calm. "I knew," she whispered. "I knew the truth. But I stayed silent, not to shame her, not to fuel the fire. I wanted the truth to speak for itself." Her voice broke, but there was no bitterness. Instead, there was something softer, compassion. She had endured humiliation quietly, not because she was weak, but because she believed dignity would outlast lies. In that moment, the entire courtroom shifted again, not with gossip, but with something heavier, something human. Even the judge's eyes softened as she closed the file. And for the first time that day, Thomas wept. Not for scandal. Not for shame. But because he realized the quiet strength of the woman who had carried his child and his heart through the storm.